is Dr. TK, clinical psychologist and branding coach for mental health therapists. And so I want to welcome you to my channel, also to my podcast. And so it is August of 2020, and what I am choosing to do per request from individuals who either find me on platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, and my podcast is that a lot of mental health professionals, they are interested in the information that I want to offer and that I have to offer, but that they also want the video because maybe they feel like they're in the room with me. I know that there are limitations as to when I solely record information for podcasts because maybe there's a detachment in regards to engagement with me. And so I want to try something different. I want to see how it's going to turn out. So make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, give me feedback on the topic at hand that we'll discuss today. And I also want to see what other topics do you want to learn about in regards to branding your mental health business for abundance. And so today I want to introduce a series, a 3-part series that I am going to be recording on my podcast for the Triple P branding formula. Okay. So I will be looking at my notes just because I want to make sure that I cover everything. And so this is called the branding product formula. Okay. So in this video, I just simply want to give you an introduction to it. I want to ask you some questions just so that you can assess your brand and where do you want your brand to go. And then in part 2 and part 3, we'll dive into developing a product so that you can meet the needs of your ideal client, also known as your client avatar. We'll discuss price points and a little bit more, okay? So first, anytime I do like a masterclass, a CE, because I'm an APA CE instructor for therapists approved by the APA, is I like to assess to see where my clients are or where is the potential, clients are, because not everybody's my client, but I want them to also assess their business because I don't like really telling people what they should do with their business, but I would prefer to give you tools to assess what's going on in your business. And then the answers from your assessment will actually tell you what to do in your business. I think that actually sinks in well with the clientele that I actually attract, the clinicians who come into, my programs and want to learn more about branding and marketing a mental health business. So my first assessment question is, what would your life look like if you were paid your value in your mental health business? So your mental health business can be a private practice. It can be different streams of income under your private practice, such as you wrote a book, you created an ebook or a workbook, you do workshops, you do live events, you do online trainings, you are a keynote speaker in your level of expertise. Maybe you are a panelist on a podcast or at a live event. But needless to say, based off of what I call your MVP, your most valuable product, because you're a most valuable provider, what is your MVP product or service, and what would your life look like if you were offering your product, people were investing in your product or service, and you were actually paid your value? So think about how you live life now, and then think about how your life will shift and change, or how we would like to say up level, if you are actually charging your true value. Because let's be real, a lot of mental health professionals, you don't charge your true value, especially in the beginning stages of your business. And so I'm here to help you. One of my expertise in the arena of providing business coaching for mental health professionals is that I am a branding specialist. And so I've had my share of getting higher level coaching myself, getting assistance in my business, seeing my business literally grow before my eyes, sometimes quicker than I would like. Or that I anticipated, because I loved it when I saw the results. But sometimes I had a goal of, seeing a certain number of clients come through my programs or a revenue goal for my business. And I would tend to hit that goal a lot quicker than I anticipated. And so I want to give you a simple method to assess what your branding style is for this particular product or service. And then we'll talk about, price points and things like that in this 3-part series. So I'm going to introduce to you first the Triple P formula, and then throughout the series, we'll go a little bit deeper, okay? But the goal is that I only want to give you one actionable item at a time. So 1P out of the 3 at a time because I want you to take fast action. And so the first P is product choice. So do you know what your customers want and how much are they willing to pay for it? Okay. And I'll give some examples in a moment, but that's the first P is do you know what your product is, your service is? Do you know what your number one hit wonder is, right? I know for me, for therapy, I have been very successful in individual and family therapy, but I've recognized that one of my biggest expertise at the beginning of my private practice was working with difficult teens, 8 years ago. And so that would have been, if you would have asked me then, that would have been my product choice, right? The second P is profit. So you want to be able to assess and determine whether or not you can actually sell your product or your service to your ideal clients. So what that means is that sometimes in the mental health field, or I would say in any business for that matter, we may believe, and you should, that your product or your service is popping, it's good. However, it doesn't mean that other people want to invest in it. It doesn't mean that people want to buy it. And we're not even getting into price point yet, but you have to offer something that people see of value. Okay, value is the key word. And then the third P is package. So this really gets into the branding and the marketing piece, but you have to have a strong brand for you and your product before you can start marketing it to the general public, right? So when we talk about packaging, if you already have clients, then this entails you surveying your current clients, you conducting your research and determining what's missing in the community. So for me, for example, when I was doing couples counseling and then I wrote my first book, I had to survey with current couples clients in my private practice and just with information I found through other books online, other webinars, master classes, or other programs that offered information on the benefits of couples counseling. I wanted to see what other people were offering in their couples counseling and then how I could, implement the missing gap. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's get into product choice because that's the first P we're going to talk about today. All right, so product choice. Think about, if we're looking at private practice, okay, think about your modality of treatment. So what are you offering right now that you're really good at? Because you may be a clinician where you're offering individual counseling, family counseling, conjoint counseling with the child and the parent, group counseling, support groups. You're going out into the community doing things, right? But what is your number one type of modality of service? Meaning, where do you see the most transformation with your clients? Maybe even you may have expected that a client would take a little bit longer to go through treatment, but somehow always in couples counseling, they seem to get through whatever obstacles they came in for, unless it's premarital counseling, they go through that within 6 weeks. However, in your individual counseling and they come in with relationship type problems, you may see that they are going through treatment for 6 months, a year, 2 years, if not plus that. Of course, one of the biggest obstacles is that they're reporting on a relationship issue and the other party in the relationship is not there. So think about the transformation that you would hope to have for your clients and what does your level of service offer them to fix their problem? So I'm going to give you the example of my couples workbook. And so I created this book called Foundations, the 12 Steps to a Divine Marriage. Okay. And you can actually see the link in the notes where I have it in my Amazon store that you can pick up your copy as well. It's a pretty, easy read, not that thick of a book, but it gets straight to the point, right? And it gets the job done in regards to helping individuals facilitate a mature conversation about things in their relationship that will come up over the longevity of their marriage, over their, I would say, ship, whether it's cohabitating or just long-term relationship. So when I developed this workbook, I wanted to make sure that people could work on their relationship, whether they were in session with me or not. Right now, the joys of coming into session and actually helping me help you navigate, or actually presenting yourself so that I can help you navigate through this book, was that if any obstacles were to come up with you and your partner, for example, having a transparent conversation about these issues, or maybe you have to learn how to compromise and negotiate on different perspectives, that's what I'm there for, is really to mediate a conversation and to help you come to one mutual agreement or conclusion. But I also recognize that not everybody wants to come to counseling or couples coaching. Not everybody wants to even make the investments for their premarital services or for the longevity and health, of their relationship. So I wanted to make sure that everybody got their hands on this book, even if they didn't want to come in for counseling, which meant that I offered a physical book. But I made sure that my book was reasonable, meaning it made sense for what they were getting. So will this change the trajectory of their relationship? Of course it will. Will it open up a dialogue to talk about things that they probably would never have talked about? Of course it will. However, I do know that the book is not that big, and even though it is life-changing, they can't see every page before they buy it. And so I wanted to make sure that I created an easy yes offer. And so an easy yes offer for you may be download my workbook for $29. For me, it was download this book for $10 or $15, depending on what platform it's being sold on. Because if I have the physical book and I'm at an event, it may be a lot easier for me to sell this book for $10, because that's also easier for cash exchange, and it's just, most books are typically $9.99, right? But in some instances, I know that this book, of course, is worth more than $10, right? But you want to create an easiest offer for your package. So when you think about your product choice, you first want to, as a recap, think about what service or product do you know that your ideal clients want and that they want and need right now? Do you have a picture of the transformation that your product and service offers? And then based off that product or service, you want to ask yourself, what is a easy yes offer that can, at least if it's like a lower end product as a workbook, what's an easy yes offer, quote unquote, price point that they can get into your funnel? Because maybe after doing a few exercises in this book, for example, they may then call and say, hey, we're stuck in this section. Can we schedule a session? And of course you can, right? Now, another thing that I love about creating one product, because it becomes a hit, like this workbook, is that then I can literally take any section out of this book and turn it into a different stream of income. And so I can turn it into an online course, the entire book. I can actually create seminars and workshops that are specifically focused on just blended families, just on how do you talk to one another about money? How do you talk to one another about opposite sex peer relationships? Because that's a big topic that a lot of people don't talk about, right? And so this sums up the first section of this series in regards to the triple P formula. And today, as a recap, we talked about product choice, okay? And so in the next two parts of this series, I will be talking about profits. So we will talk about how do you choose a price point based off your services. And then we'll also talk about packaging in regards to branding and a little bit of marketing. So if you have found this video and podcast episode very helpful, please make sure to leave me some comments below. If you're listening to this on the podcast, I'm always saying, share this episode with someone else, also with other mental health professionals who are not growing at the pace that they would like, especially in their mental health business, and especially if they have a private practice. And so this sums up the episode. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Oh, and before I forget, make sure that you check the resources below. I have a few free things to give you as my gift. And so a lot of times mental health professionals, we are in private practice, or we want to go into private practice and have a profitable one, an abundant one. And sometimes we just don't know what the missing pieces are. And so I have a free quiz to let you assess with some questions, about 25 or 28 questions. It allows you to assess your business to really see how set up is your business really for profitability. okay, and to be able to not just grow, but scale. And so whether you have just started your private practice or you've been in private practice for a long time, but you're not seeing the growth and or scaling ability that you would like, I would highly encourage you to check the show notes and click the link and take my private practice quiz. And until the next series, the next part of the series, I will see you next time. Bye.